Hello everyone. I am Suruchi Parashar, and in this video I am going to walk you through a cloud-based machine learning and data ops project I built in the electronics and distribution domain. So basically this was one of the most exciting and educational projects that I have worked on, and it would be covering data pre-processing, automated pipelines, model training, monitoring with something called Prefect, and even the API access and metrics logging that we would be covering at the end. So for ease to be able to access the files I have created, this public repo that in GitLab that can be accessed, and I would be adding a link along with the documentation for the same. So yep, let's move on. So before we get into the technicality, I wanted to show how our data set looks. So it has more than 9,000 rows for everything related to product categories in smartphones, tablets, laptops, and any gadget that you can think of, along with the famous brands that are in the product brand column, and then the price, age, gender, frequency, satisfaction. So we consider these as the performance indices, and then we wanted to be able to understand which one is the most important to be considered to be able to predict about the person's purchase intent. So this is the raw data set that we have collected, and we would be basically trying to do a few transformations in this using Prefect workflow. I can show you in the start a very surface level pipeline view of how a Prefect deployment looks, which would load the data, pre-process it, and perform exploratory data analysis. And after that, we would probably get something like this, which is processed sales data. And it would also have all kinds of performance index related to the category and all the KPIs that we discussed just now in the raw data. So let's get started. The basic need to be able to do this was the motivation behind avoiding manual work. So that's the reason why we actually went ahead with Prefect. So the flow runs would in this deployment, the flow runs would run every 3 minutes for us to be able to see that if any new data is coming, it is getting pre-processed, loaded, pre-processed, and EDA'd. So at 12:24 and then 12:27, so it's scheduled every 3 minutes. And basically, we have used a YAML for the deployment config that I can show you now, which is this. So it has 3 minutes of runtime, and then this is for the monitoring that we are using. And of course, if you go here in deployments, in flows, and you go here to your actual deployment, you can see how many are scheduled, how many have actually completed, and the green ones, of course. So the next one that we have scheduled is at 12:30, which is a minute after the current time. So we can just wait for a 30-second period, and we can see how it automatically starts and does the load. does the pre-processing according to what we have given. Yeah, so here it starts. It opens using a worker, which we have started in the work pool, and it starts the process. Yeah, so that's how fast and cool it looks after the automation. So basically this happens every 3 minutes. And if you go to a little button, I can just increase size here. Yeah. So it says finished and state completed, and that's how it says exited cleanly. So we go back and if you go back a bit and then see further flows again in data pipeline, you would see that the one that completed at 12:30 shows an completed state now, and then there's another that's scheduled at 12:33. So that's how it goes and comes back. So now we have to understand the theory behind it. Since now that we have seen how cool it looks, we have to understand what is actually happening, because nobody has any clue. Yeah, so initially when we start with it, I started with the manual cleanup and manual work. So if you are a person who doesn't want to do manual cleanup, manual work, you can directly go with the automation. But to understand the theory behind it, it is important that you do some manual work as well. So at this point on my screen, you see that we are reading the consumer electronics sales data, which is the CSV that I just showed. And then we are trying to look at the missing values, null values, if any, in the sheet that we pulled. So you can take the data set from any side. I used Kaggle here. It has been a real help for me. So you can use any site for publicly available data sets. And then you can probably use that by using info and head. So at this point, I realized we have to initialize encoders and scalars. So I'm using bin max scaler and label encoder, and then also pandas. At this point, we are just normalizing the numerical fields and encoding the categorical ones, which were essential for feeding into the machine learning models we would come across at later point. So basically, at this point, I'm showing the correlation heat map. And if you go down a bit, I'm going to skip this as of now, but just to show you that after all this, we would be getting a processed sales data CSV, because we wanted to be able to see the cleaned up values here. So next up, when you save this, you can run exploratory data analysis, looking at the feature correlation, customer age trends, brand-wise purchase intent, and then purchase frequency distributions. So here is the correlation heat map, which is basically showing everything as a correlation index. And if you want, you can also basically look at the bar graphs, plot them as you like, with the purchase intent, with age groups, with the product category, product brand, and see however you like them. So these are just two examples of purchase intent that I used. And then probably, at this stage, basically you discover the real patterns. So for example, at this point in time, I noticed that certain brands consistently led to repeat purchases, which is basically very valuable for upselling strategies. So at this point, you can actually pinpoint what is your performance index. So on step 11, as you can see, since I discovered that purchase intent was the one, the next step was obviously to train the model. So I have started with clean data, of course. I built a machine learning pipeline using logistic regression and random forest classifiers. So, of course, since the target variable was purchase intent, which basically means that if a customer is intended to buy again. So, at this point, you can see that you have to train a model, and for that you have to understand how you have to split the model. So I decided I will split the model 70-30, and 70 would be training data set, and then 30% would be the test. Is that how you can use it? So after you read everything from your clean data, you can test and train your model. And in the initialization, I've used verbose 1 and 2, basically just to see what is the status of my step. So it says building tree 1 of 100. You can also not use it. It's fine if you don't use it, but to see the status of everything, it is okay if you use it. So basically now we are training the data. If the data is more, it would obviously take more time for you to train it. So it says model trained successfully, and then you can use these commands to see what are the lists of your total variables that you have declared. I wanted to make sure I'm not repeating the variables for the models that I have declared. So I just wanted to make sure. So that's why you see these entries. And in the next part, basically how we are introducing the performance metrics here to evaluate the precision and accuracy, recall, and F1 score of our models. So that's how we are trying to output both of them. So as you can see at this point, logistic regression gave decent results, but random forest performed much better, likely due to its handling of feature interactions. So basically here is a quick comparison for both the models. Accuracy for logistic regression turned out to be 85%, whereas random forest was 95%. Precision was 96%, 94% recall, and 95% fin score, which was further ahead from logistic regression. So at this point, we can compare and look at it. And if you want to go ahead and do a logging for your logistic and random forest performance, you can probably do a JSON file. I tried to log these in a JSON file, and I just opened it. So this is how it looks. So these are the results, a little prettier. So at this point, we have seen that we have trained the models, and how the manual work actually looks like, and how it can be a little exhausting. So I didn't want to rerun the notebook every time new data came in. So this pipeline can be turned into fully automated workflow using Prefect. So that was the motivation behind it again. And if I have not yet covered that, Prefect is nothing but a modern data orchestration tool. You can download Prefect for any OS that you want. And I'm using Ubuntu right now. So we can probably just install the agent and start the server in your laptop, or you can use Prefect Cloud. Prefect Cloud is also web-based federation, so you can just directly log in and see a lot of options there. So let me quickly pull up on the screen my server. So that's how Prefect server looks. So I can just start it here. I've already downloaded it. I can post the steps for installation along with the documentation. So let's get started with the pipeline. I just wanted to show the pipeline, how it looks. So we can, this is a Python file in which I have described all the tasks that we are doing in an automated way. So we are loading the data that we did manually. Everything that we did manually is now automated. We are pre-processing the data. We are then performing exploratory data analysis on it. And then we are evaluating the models that we just did manually. And we are also computing the metrics for both the models. Along with this, we are logging the metrics for both, and then I'm just calling both the functions for data pipeline and monitoring. And since I have already showed you the schedules for both of my deployments, which are data pipeline and model monitoring flow, I can also show you on the console how my deployments look. So if you just give with Prefect deployment list ls, you can just see that both the deployments are here. And if I just export the URL and if I try to start a runner here, which I can basically see on my dashboard, which is here. So if you go to the work pools, you see this is your work pool. When you go to workers, you can see that there is one agent that is online that is doing all the workload. So I can just go ahead and delete these, which are offline from quite a while. And I can show you how we start a worker node. Sorry, this is my Jupyter notebook. Yep. So if you just use this command, you can also start a agent with a particular name, but I want to give it a random name, which will come in this way, which can be literally anything. So you can just select the agent pool that you want your worker in, and then you can basically see that it picks up all the jobs and also saves the metrics in the JSON file that you just saw. And it happens every time a job is executed completely and it exits cleanly. So I am going to show how I can demo starting off a new worker. So here we go. If I just paste it here, and as you saw just now on the dashboard that there was just one worker that was active, and since we are now trying to start another worker node here, we can go ahead and see on the dashboard that we have. Now I know there might be another issue that comes up when you don't globally export your Prefect API URL. So the agents do not start properly and they error out with an exception. So it is important that you do that before you start an agent. So I'm going to try starting an agent now since I have already exported the API URL here. So it might take a little bit. Yeah, so it instantly started, took 2 seconds. I started another worker in the pool. So I'm going to show you how it might now show up here and say that we have 2 workers online, which is clearly why I wanted to demo it. So this is what the bump was, what I faced. I also faced bumps like prefect deployment build command was not being recognized, and it has recently been switched to prefect deploy. So when you try to do that in your local setup, you might face that. And you have to ensure that the API URL always is exported before you try to start a runner. Yep, so we have already seen that the YAML file would actually run these and run these every 1 in 3 minutes. So at this point, we can actually go and see the monitoring metrics with the prefect, which is this, because I have not really demoed this as of now. So we can go back and look at the deployments and monitoring flow. So monitoring flow is again scheduled for every 1 minute. So it's like 12:46:00 and then 59. So this is the next one that we can just look at in a minute, and you would be seeing that it also logs the metrics in the runtime and it gives the logs in the performance metrics that we have defined as log metrics function. So there are other options that we can use, for example, artifacts for the function. As of now, I'm using run logger in the pipeline itself to be able to see the result directly in the pipeline. Yeah, so it has completed, and see if you can see it has given the output directly here to me in the pipeline, and it has exited cleanly. So this you can adjust the timings as of however you want, and you can check the deployments here. So this is for model monitoring flow, and of course I store the metrics as a JSON file locally, which I just showed for the manual version, and the prefect variables will be shown in the flows that will have access to the recent models. So you will not have to manually run anything to get the metrics, and you will be able to see that in the flow logs, which is very handy when there are a lot of things to check, and you can come and check here directly. With this, I think we have reached the point where we can look at the API access. So if you want, I can just show you how the flows look like. And yep. So it might take a little time to come back, but it generally comes back with the body such as this. as you can see, with deployment filters and everything. And if I go to the flow runs, which is generally quick, just a bit of time. So it tells me that everything which I just saw, every flow run that I just saw, would be coming here with all the details and the timings, the schedule, and it would give me the worker name as well. It is basically everything about the flow runs. Let me change it to post and see how the flows look like. So I just showed the data pipeline to you and then the model monitoring flow. So these are the two that we are running right now. So it is a correct information. Okay, this has also completed. So I am trying to fetch the deployment here with electronic data pipeline and every detail about it, and then the other deployment, which is model monitoring flow. So if I use get, again it will give me method not allowed, because I realize that prefect local API expects a post with filters. This is a small thing but a very good learning. So that's what you would hit if you would try to hit prefect local API with filters locally. So yep, that was the API discussion that you can probably incorporate when you learn prefect. So this wasn't just a project. In summary, about building models, I actually learned how to automate workflows, troubleshoot orchestrators like Prefect, build monitoring tools, and expose application level APIs. So these are all skills that go beyond basic data science. So this can be done locally or in Prefect Cloud, but it would be a great learning as to however you decide to do it. So I would like to wrap it up here. Thanks again for watching it till the end if you're still here. And if you found this useful or inspiring, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Check out this repo that is in the description and the documentation about it as well. And I would love to hear your thoughts or collaborate on future project. So thanks again. I would be stopping.